Welcome back to the Blister and Muck podcast. I'm Jenny Mason, your host and the creator of the Blister and Muck series. Blister insists on keeping secrets and gaming the system. Is he toying with disaster? Last week, Blister resumed stashing secrets. I guess you could say he's falling baccarat on old habits. He was pretty sure Dr. Van Sangfroid, or a Van Sangfroid twin, was somehow undercutting the Lady Yana's efforts to eliminate animal cruelty. And even though more innocent animals could wind up trapped and brain blasted, Blister decided to conceal his discovery from Madame Putresca and Muck. That way, he'd also conceal his reliance on Yana for food. I wished he'd find a better way of dealing with his insecurities. Wouldn't it be nice if he declared a new motto to replace the old one for one and none for all credo? Then he wouldn't have to live such a solitary life. What about you? Do you have old habits that hold you back? Do you have bad habits you'd like to change? Neuroscientists who study how the brain works find that the human brain is really good at programming in habits. To do this, the brain looks for actions that tend to regularly occur sequentially, or always in a particular order. Then it strings those steps into a kind of autopilot program you can perform without thinking about it. For example, consider how you brush your teeth. Assuming you regularly brush your teeth, you're likely so familiar with the steps involved that you don't even think about them. You pick up your toothbrush and toothpaste tube, and then before you know it, you're spitting foam down the sink. What happened in the middle? Your brain stitched those steps together so efficiently, you don't have to worry about it. Teeth brushing happened. That's a habit. One action kicks off a series of other actions in a domino effect. And for a moment, we are like a machine. We are like a robot, following a code chain of instructions. Why would our brains momentarily turn us into thoughtless robots? I mean, I'm willing to bet it has nothing to do with a zombie conspiracy, and is maybe more to do with efficiency. The brain can save a ton of time and energy when it operates on habit autopilot. It can multitask so that while you robotically brush your teeth, you can also review your math quiz, or fantasize about eating marshmallows. The only problem is that the brain doesn't distinguish between good habits and bad habits. Therefore, if you do something repeatedly and frequently, the brain will crunch that action into a robotic habit. It doesn't matter if it's doing 10 push-ups every morning, eating rocks, or keeping hurtful secrets. Unless you consciously and thoughtfully examine your actions and make the choice to change, you are bound to become a slave to your habits. In other words, you have to decide which habits are dominoes and which ones are dominieses. Episode 9. Intrrruderrrs. Having spent the day scouring the city's filth, the clouds piled in the sky, black and frazzled. Lightning unraveled like loose threads on tattered rags. The wind harried Blister all the way back to the cathedral. Near the top of the spiral staircase, Blister overheard Muck and Seltzer talking. He stopped to listen. Of all the sumptuous surprises! Just wait till Blister sees this. Are you sure he doesn't already know? The way he left in such a hurry this afternoon makes me think he suspects. There isn't the chintziest chance he suspects anything. Blister tugged his ears down. They must have found the stash of cakes, cookies, muffins, and doughnuts. As if in confirmation, the wind streamed the scent of stale goodies down the stairwell. Blister quickly formed a mental pile of justifiable excuses and likely explanations. Seems uneven to me, Muck noted to Seltzer. The observation puzzled Blister. What was uneven about the pastries? Perhaps they had divvied the treats into allotments. Easily remedied, Seltzer replied and flapped his wings. Thank you, my prodigious pigeon. Blister's lips curled away from his sharpest teeth. Not only had those two snoopers rooted through his private candle boxes, but now they intended to claim portions of the sweets that he, Blister, and he alone had earned. He stormed up the remaining stairs.
Ticks and maggots,
he shouted.
Everyone get your grubby, thieving paws and wings away from my...
Blister halted. The scene he encountered in the bell tower was so radically different from the one he'd imagined. He did not find Seltzer and Muck dividing the bakery spoils into their own collections. Instead, he entered a belfry festooned with colorful cloth banners, pennants, and streamers. They draped and drooped along the walls. They descended from the wooden beams, all fastened with Spindle's sticky spiderwebs. Many of the banners had been painted with bold slogans. Beware Black Blisterbeard. Yo ho ho, Long John Silvermuck. Blister and Muck, pirates forever. At the moment Blister had barged into the belfry, Seltzer had been in the midst of adjusting one of the banners, which sloped crookedly. He and Muck both startled at the sound of Blister's bellowing. If it isn't my capricious companion! I didn't expect you back so soon. How do you like the embroidered embellishments, the spirited spangles, the original ornaments? Blister did not immediately answer, because he experienced a sudden irritation in his eyes, which he was certain was the fault of the wind kicking up so much grit. Spindle plunged off Muck's shoulder, galloped up Blister's side, and resumed his parrot-like perching.
Good boy.
Blister absently patted the spider. A magnet under the floor might have moved Blister's feet, for the way he spun dreamily through the bell tower, taking in the spectacle.
I don't understand how you... When did you have time to...
Finally, his wonder-struck gaze settled on Muck.
I don't know what to say.
For once, Seltzer said. Muck smiled. Lightning whitewashed the windows and floret holes in the dome. Thunder boomed through the cathedral's stony bones.
So much for a sunset,
Blister said.
We better get a few candles lit. It's already getting dark.
Within a few moments, rain hammered on the city. The downpour dripped through the florets, soaking the banners, pennants, and streamers. Droplets bombarded the bell with steady pong, 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 pong. The 2 rats, 2 pigeons, the spider, and a small ring of candles all camped under the bell. As was their habit on many a night, they had pushed the sliding lids of the 2 candle box beds together to form a table, with the beds serving as seats. They played wing-ding, a close cousin to dominoes. Instead of dotted, rectangular chips, they used a variety of spotted and speckled bug carapaces and wings. "Oh, you feathered fiend," Muck complained to Seltzer. Once again, you've blocked all 4 dots when you knew full well I possess a posse of 4 dots. Well, 2 can play at that game." Muck proceeded to block off any place Seltzer hoped to play on his next turn. Seltzer sloped his eyelids into venomous slits. "Revenge will be mine," he warned. From his perch on Muck's shoulder, Spindle reared back on his haunches, raised his front legs, and extended his tiny fangs. "That's right, Spindle," Muck patted the spider. "We'll show that pugnacious pigeon we're entirely equipped for war." Meanwhile, Blister played for both himself and for Horchata. According to the rules Seltzer put in place, Blister had to consult with the numbskulled bird on every turn.
"Which piece do you want to play, Horchata?"
Blister asked her. Nested down in the blankets of Blister's bed, Horchata responded with a blank stare and an involuntary blink. Early on, Seltzer interpreted the blinks or pointed to some imperceptible gesture that only he could see. From these actions, he composed translations of Horchata's intentions. Blister learned to play along until Seltzer was convinced that the rat was fluently versed in pigeon body language. In truth, all Blister did was hover his paw over Horchata's game pieces while pretending to be psychically guided to the chip she wanted to play. Despite the ruse, Horchata somehow always won. Even when Blister deliberately made the worst plays, Horchata always won.
"If you good sirs are done squabbling," Blister said, "Horchata is about to win. Again."
He played the pieces she supposedly chose, and sure enough, secured her victory. Lightning flashed and thunder boomed, adding a fitting fanfare to the outcome. Seltzer congratulated Horchata while sticking his dry, brittle bird tongue out at Muck. "And on that depletion of decorum, we should all bound bedward." Muck gathered up and stowed away the bug bits. Seltzer guided Horchata up to their nests, which were tucked away from the rain. Spindle retreated to the soggy confines of his web. Being a spider, he preferred the mildewed damp. As the rats shook the downy feather fluff from their covers, a mischievous gust of wind romped through the belfry, thinning the candle flames. A few snuffed out. The meager darkness now swelled, pushing away from the walls, closer to the bell. "Quite the prevailing precipitation. A tempered tempest, eh?"
Huh? What? Oh, yeah. Tempers flared during the last game, for sure.
Blister nodded. Muck pressed his paw on Blister's back. As he'd hoped, the gesture roused the rat fully from his distracted reveries. "Is everything okay?"
"Oh, yeah, of course."
Blister crawled under the cloth scrap covers, nose first. He turned in a few circles, twisting the covers tight around him. Muck slid into his own bed. He remained upright, smoothing all the tiny creases and wrinkles out of the covers. He opened his mouth several times to speak, only to close it in the wake of bright lightning and rumbling thunder. For a time, both rats remained in that oppositional pose. One closed off, the other opened. One poised to offer, the other ready to reject. From under his shield of covers, Blister heard a faint tapping sound. Not the tap of rain, but a more solid kind of click. Tick-a-click, 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 tick-a-click. Blister rolled his eyes and sighed, wishing Muck would still his nervous twitching. Muck summoned everything Madame Putresca had taught him to endure the floods of fear that normally swallowed him. At last, he took a deep breath and proclaimed, "I don't know whether you've come to a decisive determination on Madame Putresca's official offer, but I believe you should accept."
Blister grunted. I should, huh?
"Indubitably," Muck said. "This going out every day to collect your comestibles is taking its toll. I see you return home extremely exhausted and discernibly dissatisfied."
Blister poked his head out from under the cover cloth. Is that what you see?
Lightning flickers sizzled across the night. Thunder thudded. In the gap between the flicker and boom, the ticking tapping persisted. Bolstered by what he supposed was Blister's curiosity, Muck said, "Indeed it is. I am positively persuaded that you would enjoy a more congenial constitution if you gave up this harmful habit of adopting food. Just think of how remarkably rewarding it would be to ingest a meal you'd earned by helping others. Compare that to the dingy digestion one feels while eating stolen food. Rest assured, I am no flatulent fool. I know adopting is the same as stealing, but calling it by a different name does not make it acceptable, Blister. Trust me when I say that I undeniably understand the allotted allure that comes with living the pirate lifestyle. But surely you realize that way of life best belongs in books." Pong, 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 pong. The rain said to the bell. Tick-a-click, tick-a-click, tick-a-tick, tick-a-tick, tick-a-click. The tapping responded. Suddenly, the wind spun into the belfry, shaking the streamers and flapping the pennants and banners. A few more candles snuffed out, leaving one to hold back all the dark. Tick-tick, tick, tick-a-click, tick-tick, tick-a-click, tick-a-click. Blister threw off his covers.
Let me get this straight. You think I don't help anyone, and that makes me an unpleasant creature to be around? Has it ever occurred to you that maybe I am unhappy because my home has been invaded? First by a senseless silver whisker, and then by a couple of feather-brained birds. But of course, that can't be the reason, says the wise and almighty rat, training to be Madame Putresca's replacement. No, I am undesirable to be around because I'm the selfish rat who doesn't help others. Well, here's a shock for you. What I do every day is not stealing food. I am earning it by helping the entire animal kingdom. Don't tell me I don't help others. After all, oh wise and powerful one, where would you and those pigeons be without me, without my help? And while you're working out the answer, would you please stop tapping your claws? It's driving me insane.
Muck held up his paws to show he was in fact not tapping anything. Tick-a-click, tick-tick, tick, tick-a-click, tick-a-click. The sound persisted. Both rats swiveled their ears to track and identify the source. Muck pointed down, indicating the sound stemmed from the cathedral's ground floor. Blister nodded. He could now tell the tick-tapping was echoing up the spiral staircase.
"Horchata?"
Seltzer said in a groggy voice. "Shh," Blister hissed. A second tick-a-click joined the original, and the two became a tick-ticketa, tick-tick, ticketa, 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 click-click. The wind flicked rainwater under the bell. The last candle extinguished. Darkness gobbled up the entire belfry.
"Horchata, where are you?"
Shh! Muck shushed the bird. The two tappings replicated into 4. The 4 duplicated into 8. Ticks and clicks drummed like a river made of hard-bodied beetles. They grew louder and louder. Lightning beamed a steady light into the bell tower before tattering into flickers. But in that illuminated moment, Blister pointed to Horchata. She stood at the threshold, gazing into the dark stairwell. He was just about to announce her location when she said, "Intrrruderrrs," In the time it took the thunder to boom, rumble, and bang, many things sewed together in Blister's brain. The tick-tapping was the sound of long claws on a stone surface. The sounds multiplied because the number of paws increased, and those many paws were traveling up the stairwell fast.
Wharf rats!
Wharf rats? In here? But why? We have neither crumbs nor cuisine,
Muck said.
Wharf rats!
Blister repeated as he sprang out of his bed. Horchata flapped away from the stairs, disappearing into the soaked streamers and pennants. Blister leapt up and caught hold of the bell's rim. Digging his claws into the scuffed, rusted metal, he climbed the rain-slicked surface.
Blister, help!
Muck pleaded. In the electric flashes of the storm, Blister saw Muck desperately leaping, but each time missing the rim by a lot. Blister slid down and lowered his tail to Muck.
Grab on!
Muck jumped, caught the lifeline, lost his grip, and plopped to the ground, nearly pulling Blister down with him. Snarls and snorts bristled out of the stairwell and into the bell tower. Blister secured his grip and lowered his tail again.
Come on, Muck. You can do it. Take a deep breath, jump, and lift yourself up.
Muck scrunched down and wriggled his behind. He launched up, gripped Blister's tail, and dangled. Blister scraped and heaved and strained until Muck was able to grab hold of the bell's outer shell. They were still climbing to the top when the wharf rats burst into the bell tower. For a time, Blister and Muck could only listen to the clattering onslaught while the rain slapped and soaked them. Once securely seated atop the bell, they dared to peer down into the darkness where stout, algae-crusted figures roamed. The lightning afforded only snippet glimpses. Slimy whiskers, bruised brown fangs, scabby tails. Moon marble eyes swiveled, tilted, searched. Trailing capes of knotted seaweed and kelp ropes dragged the floor like a convict's ball and chain. Eventually, Muck pressed his paws to his face. The wharf rats permeated the belfry. They knocked over the busted open candle boxes. Candlesticks clacked, clattered, and rolled across the wet floor. Blister knew when they had found the cache of little cakes, cookies, muffins, and donuts, because he heard them smacking and gulping. He hugged his legs close to his chest and lowered his head. The cold rain soaked his fur and dripped from his ears, arms, and cheeks. With the feast devoured, the wharf rats thoroughly searched the rest of the bell tower for more. They toppled more candle boxes and cracked them open. They overturned the beds. They shredded the covers. They yanked down the streamers, the banners, and the pennants. When no more food was exposed, the wharf rats scrabbled back down the stairs and exited the cathedral through its many rotted cracks. From there, they chewed other tunnels deep into night's meat. Well, that was an unpleasant nightmare. I wish I could tell you it was only a bad dream. That when Blister wakes up, his beloved bell tower home won't have been ransacked and destroyed. I also wish I could assure you that further misfortunes will not befall Blister or Muck. I know when they shared their story with me, at this point I thought things couldn't possibly get any darker or any worse than a wharf rat attack. But I was wrong. Just when you think darkness is at its darkest shade and can get no darker, you realize darkness can also be deep. sometimes it can be bottomless. Tune in next week as the rats pick up the pieces and discover a shocking clue about the fire that destroyed Muck's posh country home. Until then, stop by blisterandmuck.com to check out the links to cool articles, books, and videos related to the many topics we discuss on this show. You'll never miss an episode when you click to subscribe at blisterandmuck.com. Subscribers get an email as soon as the latest episode releases. Do you have friends? I mean, Pirate Forever friends. Let them know how much you appreciate them with a holiday present from the Blister and Muck gift shop. Whether it's a mask, a hat, or a shirt, your friends will forever know you'd steal food from the trash for them. To browse the gift shop, simply click on Support the Show at blisterandmuck.com. Special thanks to composer Roland Rootsitis for serving up the Blister and Muck theme song. Additional music from John Bartman and Mon Plaisir. Chad Crouch at the Free Music Archive created the end credits music, Drumming in the Rain. Mike Koenig provided some suspenseful sounds, as well as some thunder. Additional creepy sounds from Daniel Simeon. Additional rain and thunder from Flathill and I Do Musics. Mark D'Angelo mustered the wind. I extend radiant thanks to my family, friends, and fans. One for one, and all for you.